Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get
Many
into
people
it.
prefer to travel by their own car. But it is one thing when it comes to traveling within one country, and quite another if the trip involves crossing borders. This kind of car travel involves the mandatory registration of special documents. The green card takes a special place here. Without it, the driver will not even be able to cross the state border. There is nothing complicated about obtaining a green card or green card if you understand the procedure. It is necessary to find a company that is ready to offer services for issuing the card, prepare a package of documents, pay and receive the necessary papers. But motorists often ask themselves the same questions, not fully understanding where they need to go, what to take with them and how much it will cost to get a green card, what it is, and why you need it. Green Card, GC, is an insurance policy of a special international standard. This is a special type of insurance designed for car owners who are going to travel to other countries and cross state borders with their personal car. Simplistically, we can say that green cards for cars are an analog of the domestic MTPL. Such a definition fully reveals the essence of the document. The only difference is that the card is valid in other countries. If the driver has this document, he will cross state borders without any problems. It will be impossible to do so without a license. In the event of an accident while on the territory of another country, the card will guarantee insurance payments to the party that suffered as a result of the accident. Now everyone understands why you need and what gives this green card. Registration of this document is considered a mandatory procedure. Therefore, let us more carefully study its features and the procedure for obtaining it. It is worth noting that the EQ is the result of an agreement on the insurance of automobile liability. It was adopted within the framework of the International Green Card System. At present, 48 states are participants of the system, including the Russian Federation. In order that none of the participants of the agreement had any difficulties, a single form was provided for all countries. Plus, a mandatory condition is to produce only in printed format. The participants strive to switch to the electronic form, but so far it is impossible. This situation is conditioned by the presence of some differences in the laws of the participating countries. To determine the amount of insurance payments, the legal norms of each particular state where the accident was registered are taken into account. The document can be issued only for motor vehicles with state registration. That is, the vehicle must be registered. Also, the LC applies to transit cars and vehicles that do not provide for separate registration of compulsory MTPL insurance. This includes mopeds, scooters, car trailers, etc. An interesting and convenient feature of the card is the fact that there are no restrictions on the number of people who are allowed to drive the vehicle. They are not provided for. There is no need to enter data about the direct owner in the LC. The document is issued to the person who applied for it. Type A standardized green card looks like an ordinary form of A4 format, made in green, which is quite logical. Information is entered on the front and back sides. If it is available, the car can cross state borders, which allows international travel on its own transport, which is a car. When taking out an international insurance policy, you should first determine exactly where you will be traveling to. If it is a trip to one particular country only, you can apply for one type of green card. To visit other countries, you will have to apply for another type of green card. In Russia, there are two versions of international format auto liability insurance policies. They are valid in different territories. The first type, the policy of international format, valid in the territory of all member countries of the agreement. That is, with such a card you can visit any of the states. The insurance allows you to travel both within one country and to travel between different states, as long as the policy is in force. The second type, this variant of the policy is created for neighboring countries. If the purpose of the trip is Moldova, Azerbaijan, Belarus, or Ukraine, then you can do with a somewhat simplified version of the green card. It is noteworthy that both cards have an identical format. The only difference between them is the size of insurance payments. Where to apply? Those who are going on a trip abroad with their car, think about where to get a green card for the car. And here it is important to realize that there are many offers, but not all of them correspond to reality. There is a certain list of organizations that have permission to issue such documents, and they are strictly controlled. But there are various fraudsters and alleged intermediaries who offer to speed up the procedure of obtaining a card of motor liability insurance for a certain fee. Do not forget about possible cooperation with one-day firms. They do not occur so often, but when choosing an insurer, should be as careful as possible. To choose a suitable insurance company, you can study the list of available offices in your city. Then you need to go to the official website of the Union of Motor Insurers. In a special section, there is a list of organizations that have received international accreditation. Be sure to look for up-to-date information, as some of their insurance companies may have lost their accreditation, but do not inform their clients about it. Not everyone understands why a number of large and well-known insurance companies in Russia do not want to take part in the international market. There are some nuances here. The point is that certain countries participating in the agreement provide for very large payouts in the event of insured events. Sometimes the amount of payouts is not limited, which makes it necessary to give large sums of money to the injured party in case of serious road accidents. This entails direct losses for the insurance company. Simply put, domestic insurers simply do not want to make large payouts. For this reason, not all of the major insurance companies are eager to provide green card services. Whether it is good or bad, judge for yourself. But this fact does not mean that there are no insurers dealing with green cards in Russia. The list is quite impressive, and therefore everyone can find an office of these companies in their city or in a neighboring town. Read also, German or Japanese. The eternal dispute of automobile giants. The very procedure of registration takes place directly in the office of the insurance company or online. The latter option is designed to significantly save time and their own efforts. There are situations when the trip is unplanned, and there is no time for registration through the office. This is not terrible, as the legislation provides for such cases. To obtain the necessary authorization in the form of an insurance policy for travel outside the country, you can draw up documents at the state border itself. Special offices with insurance representatives work there. But the option of buying a border policy is potentially risky. This is due to the fact that there are often fraudsters and representatives of companies without international accreditation. They have no right to issue such documents. If you buy a fake card or a card from an unaccredited company, you risk serious losses when traveling in other countries. If the fact of forgery is discovered in a traffic accident, you will have to cover all expenses for the damage caused at your own expense. No one will pay you compensation, and if you are at fault, all the financial costs will fall on your shoulders. That is why it is much better to get a green card in advance. This gives you the opportunity to check the company for accreditation and prepare for the trip without unnecessary fuss and haste. Documents required. Unlike a number of different documents, it is not necessary to prepare a large package of papers to obtain a green card. Everything is simple enough. Registration of a green card for a car provides for two options, depending on the status of the client: individuals, legal entities. When registering a green card by an individual, it is enough to present the passport of the person who applies for insurance and the technical passport of the vehicle itself. Nothing else is needed. Legal entities will need to show registration certificates. They go for the legal entity and the vehicle, plus the company's seal. Often motorists come with a driver's license and vehicle title. All of this is unnecessary and is not required when obtaining a card. It is enough for an accredited insurance company that the client has the right to drive the insured car. Moreover, there can be several such persons who can get behind the wheel as part of an international car trip. There are no restrictions in the policy on the number of citizens who use the insured car under the insurance policy. Motorists should take into account that the validity of the policy starts from the moment they cross the state border. At the same time, the rules do not allow to issue the card earlier than 1 month before the planned trip. For registration of insurance of the international sample, it is required that the insurance company must have special forms for SC. But the problem is that sometimes they simply do not have these forms in stock. The phenomenon is temporary, but it is better to find out about it in advance. Sometimes motorists have to go around several organizations at once in search of the one that has the forms. This task can be accomplished much more easily. When choosing an insurance company that has a valid accreditation, contact its representatives by phone. All telephone contact numbers are listed on the website. Check whether they have forms. If not, go further down the list of suitable insurers. Don't be frightened, they can't all run out of forms. This problem of the past years is gradually ceasing to be relevant. But reinsurance and call the firm will not be superfluous. Registration procedure. Now directly about how a motorist can get the necessary international green card for a car, so that the driver who has received a green card cannot fear problems with compensation in the event of a traffic accident in the territory of another country. Individuals and legal entities are entitled to receive the document. It is important to take into account the fact that the green card insures not the car, but the liability of the person who drives it. As in the case of MTPL, if the card holder is the culprit in the accident, the injured party can count on receiving compensation through the insurance company. The perpetrator himself cannot expect compensation. If there are no other types of insurance, then the car will be repaired and restored at his own expense. Some people forget that exemption from civil liability does not mean exemption from criminal punishment. With the help of the card, the driver only minimizes financial losses arising from a traffic accident. But if you have broken the law and a person has suffered because of you, criminal liability is envisaged. To exclude it, you should always follow the rules of the road, comply with the laws of the state where you are. Be careful and polite drivers. This guarantees a minimum of problems for a car traveler. Registration of the policy takes place in several stages. Choice of insurance company. Each client decides for himself which insurance company is better for him to cooperate with. Some are limited in their choice due to the lack of representation in the city of different organizations. Others choose on the principle of the nearest office to home or work. But regardless of these factors, it is necessary to cooperate exclusively with those companies that are included in the lists of accredited. According to current data from the RAMI, the term of issuance. Minimally, this type of insurance can be issued for 15 days. The maximum term is limited to 1 year. There is no point in issuing an annual card if you are going to travel to another country for a few days. It is also not recommended to issue with a minimum time of stay outside Russia. Payment. According to the current rules of registration of an international sample policy, first the client must pay the cost of the document. Submission of documents. Depending on whether the client is an individual or a legal entity, the corresponding papers are submitted. They are accompanied by a receipt with confirmation of payment. Receipt. Having performed all these procedures, the specialist representing the insurance company undertakes to give you a ready document. With him you can go to the state border and calmly travel on the roads of other countries. Read also, sale of state license plates without a car, schemes and possible risks even before 2016, the issuance of the policy provided for the transfer of 4 liters to the client. Moreover, 2 sheets were copies. But according to the new rules, the form is now a single-layer standard size and is made on 1 sheet. If you meet a variant with 4 sheets, you should not be frightened. This format is also still considered valid, and insurance companies have the right to use it. In addition to the green card itself, the client receives a contract and a special memo. It specifies exactly how to behave if you have an accident in another country. Moreover, the prescribed recommendations must be strictly followed. There have been cases when policyholders violated these rules, and the insurance company used these facts as a reason to deny compensation. That is, the driver had to fully pay for the repair of the injured party at his own expense. Cost. Here it is necessary to make one important remark at once, so that there are no disputes between motorists about the cost of the policy. All tariffs are regulated by RAMI. Plus, they are necessarily coordinated with the Ministry of Finance of the country. This means that all companies are obliged to offer the same price for insurance. There is a direct correlation between the cost of the policy and the euro exchange rate, as this is the main currency. Every month, the tariffs change slightly. A new tariff comes into effect on the 15th of the month and ends on the 14th of the following month. Currency exchange rate fluctuations are the main and only reason for the change of tariffs. The total cost, depending on the tariff, is made up of 3 components. These factors determine how much it will cost the policyholder to get the card. Coverage. If we talk about the green card policy, which is valid on the territory of neighboring countries, it is several times cheaper than The EQ, which can be used on the territory of all member states of the international agreement. It makes no sense for a client to buy an extended policy for traveling by car to Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, and Azerbaijan. But if a trip to these countries and entry to other states that are not neighboring, even for one day to one country, is envisaged, it is necessary to buy another type of insurance policy. Validity period. As already mentioned, the insurance can be issued both for 15 days and for 1 year. There is no option of prolongation, i.e., extension, for the card. Therefore, motorists should make sure in advance that they will have time to go back before the policy expires. The cost of the policy increases as the duration of its validity increases. Vehicle. If you plan to travel on a motorcycle or with a trailer, you will also have to take out a policy for them. The same trailers and motorized vehicles are the most affordable in terms of green card insurance. The cost of passenger cars is average, and the highest rates are for buses. If we talk about passenger cars, the cost of a policy for 15 days of validity for the possibility of visiting all countries will cost at least 2,500 rubles. The maximum annual policy costs more than 20,000. For comparison, when visiting neighboring countries for 15 days, you will pay about 800 rubles, and the policy for the whole year for a passenger car will cost about 5,500 rubles. When issuing a policy, the insurance company is obliged to rely on the current actual rate. RAMI regulates the rates, from which all accredited organizations are based. The situation is somewhat different when obtaining a license at the state border. Often motorists have to overpay. It is not worth getting in touch with dubious representations of insurers. It is better to study in advance the current rates on the website of RAMI and apply to a company that you trust. Actions in the event of an accident. No driver, being in another country, wants to be involved in a traffic accident, both as the perpetrator and the injured party. But you should always be prepared for such situations. First of all, always take the policy itself and a copy of it with you. If the accident could not be avoided, you need to strictly adhere to certain rules. In the event of an accident, the driver must stay in the same place. You cannot go anywhere, otherwise it will turn into serious consequences. It is also required to call representatives of the police. Emergency warning lights should be turned on in the car. Plus, signs should be placed in front of the accident site. If possible, it is recommended to write down the contact information of the other party involved in the accident. It is not unreasonable to collect contact information from possible witnesses. If you were at fault, give a copy of your policy to the injured party. If the situation is the opposite, request a copy of the insurance policy from the other driver. Wait for the police. A representative will draw up a report. Don't forget to get a copy of the report. This is important. Even if you do not speak the language, you can always call the SC representative. If you look, there are phone numbers on the back of the card. After receiving the protocol, you should call your insurance company and inform them that you were involved in an accident on the road. This is the end of the driver's tasks. The next thing is up to the insurance company. In this situation, the main thing is not to be confused and not to let anyone take the original card. You should not sign documents if you do not know exactly the meaning of the contents or if you doubt the correctness of your translation. Another mistake is trying to solve everything on the spot. There is no need to pay anything and nobody. If payments are provided, they will be made by the insurance company. Do not rush to open your wallet early. A green card is not just useful, but a necessary document for automobile travel in other countries. There is nothing complicated in registration of such a policy. It requires a minimum of time and a minimal set of documents. But still there are certain pitfalls that you already know about. Do not make typical mistakes, and also try to strictly comply with traffic rules in the country of stay. This will keep you from having to use a green card. In conclusion, a green card for a car is an essential document that serves as proof of insurance coverage while driving in many countries. It not only protects you financially in case of an accident, but also ensures compliance with legal requirements. Obtaining a green card typically involves contacting your insurance provider, who will issue the card upon confirming your policy. Understanding its importance and the process of acquiring one can help you drive with peace of mind, knowing you are covered on the road. Thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.